everybody. The nobody that is in here. That's right. I'm all by myself. Maybe Connor. Maybe Connor's here. If you're here, could you say something? So, I've got some news today. Hopefully it'll be funny. I'm gonna try my hand at this. So, that's a picture of the cat I rescued, long time ago. She was a kitten. And, she had gone to sleep in a car under the hood. Well, I mean, it was warm and it was freezing out there. We had snow and ice in East Texas. And I found her at my cousin's apartment complex. And her tail was just ravaged because whenever the owner of the car came out there in the morning to turn on their car, this cat was still under the hood. So this cat just cried out for help. And unfortunately, we couldn't save its tail, but this was my companion, Celestica, of many, many years. She eventually died because of a gang of dogs attacked her, but may she always rest in peace. She definitely still has a place in my heart. I will always remember how faithful and loyal this cat was. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so we bombed Iran. Yes, this happened. I wish it wasn't true. I mean, there's reasons, but I don't think that they are very good reasons. We have as much reason to attack Iran as we did to invade Iraq. And the reason why this is a huge problem, it's not a small problem. It's not a small problem. It's because Iran has allied itself with our enemy, China. And Russia's also, in the mix, because Russia's, always willing to take on an ally, which I think that we should have done a year before last during Biden's term, whenever Putin and Russia, because Russia, it's not ruled by a dictator, there's a body of government, and they proposed a alignment, a mutual defense sort of deal with the United States. Now, me personally, I would have snapped that up. But as we all know, Biden couldn't even find his way across the White House lawn from one's helicopter. He had to be pushed along. I mean, I bet if they had played the sound of an ice cream truck, he might have made it. But he always had to have somebody push him in the right direction. But anyway, I digress. Because this is kind of important. We might have that after a bad day of diplomacy, and by that I mean Netanyahu once again dragging us into shit that we probably shouldn't be in. You know, this is horrible. You know, because, but you know, the good humor of Putin and Z, which I don't particularly like the Chinese government or the Chinese Communist Party, but, you know, there's reasons for that. You know, I don't have to get into it. I'm kind of conservative. So you realize what those are. I don't want California or the United States to be dominated by China. Putin I like. Now, so I think that Putin has talked Z, okay, because that's like, you know, that's his name, G, you know, but like, you know, this Putin probably, you know, was like, you know, we need to just warn America because Iran isn't important. I can see Putin being like, hey Z, you know, don't let's not retaliate. Let's see what happens, you know, because America doesn't want to be in this war, you know. You know, I know they've done stupid things in the past, you know, but let's give them a break. Now, hold on. Z and China, especially the Chinese Communist Party, which nobody can mention enough, because they just don't mention it. You know, they are in control of China and California. And they have secret police stations in the United States for Chinese citizens that come over and work. Please fact check me and educate yourself on the Chinese police stations in the United States. Thank you. But anyway, you know, Putin is probably not the person to be like, you know, this airstrike on Iranian nuclear installations is a breach of international norms and a serious escalation as they have invaded Ukraine a couple of years ago and are still there. They have no room to talk. You know, I mean I agree with them, but it is still, they can't talk. You know, they you know, Russia should sit down and shut the fuck up. But, you know, since we are, you know, on this stupid website in Farsi or whatever, you know, it's you know, kind of, you know, look at this shit. I mean, you know, I know I'm not going to bag on them because I am watching them. You know, this is ABP. So, you know, they did cover this story. I have to give them credit. I'm not going to bag on them because they're from the East. You know, that's, but, you know, just realize what you're looking at isn't an American news outlet. Okay. So the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is like the most duplicitous organization in the world, except for maybe the United States State Department, um, says that the actions of the U.S. seriously violate the purposes and principles of the UN Charter and international law and have exacerbated tensions in the Middle East. No shit. Parties to the conflict, Israel in particular. Now, hold on. We are allies with Israel, regardless of whether anybody out there likes that fact. We are. It's kind of a commitment. It's like a marriage. Um, so, um, yeah, I do agree that we need an immediate ceasefire. That this should not pop off. The world, the real world leaders behind the show are fanning these flames. And whenever I say the real leaders, I don't mean these two goofballs. Or President Trump or anything. This is the deep state is all around the world. There are 13 families that control it all, and I'm not going to mention their names because they will probably transfer me to France, where my head will be unceremoniously caught in a guillotine. So, this was not good. This should be, but I understand because I lived through the Iraq debacle, and as a PMC, I never would join any sort of thing that happened. Now, I couldn't join the U.S. military. I have a brain injury from birth, and that's just not how it works. If you have a medical problem and you have to have medication or whatever, even if you don't, but if you have to be constantly looked at, let's say you have to have a brain scan every year to see if something has changed, they just won't let you in the military. And I also have asthma and stuff. But you can join be a private military contractor. There's no physical limitations like that. You can either do the work or you can't. And then, just like everything else, you might have to have a security clearance to do so in the United States. Because the United States is the biggest employer of private military contractors around the world. Regardless of what's going on in Ukraine right now, I mean, it could be more right now, but like AI, my depth in some of these things is very shallow because my information only comes back from whenever I was in it. So that being said, before I get off on a tangent, I didn't want to play around in the sandbox. And that's because I believe in Jesus. I believe that he died on the cross. All those things I believe in. But these, I was raised in a Baptist church, First Baptist Church, anyway, it was by the Loop in Nacogdoches. But that was my uncle's church, and my dad's family was mostly Catholic, and he didn't want to be Catholic. But the thing is that I'm kind of an agnostic. There are just things that I just don't agree with. But then again, I'm digressing again. So, um, Donald Trump probably rightly declared the attack a suggest because they did hit the three nuclear sites that they intended to. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that we've won the war already because there are other factors. Nettie is probably going to try to escalate at this point. Um, and these, they, not there. I am Jewish by heredity. You know, not not necessary. I don't necessarily believe, and I have my reasons for that. That a lot of these people who are now are hereditary Jews, but that's Judaism is a religion. I am Hebrew. They are not. But that's a different issue. I don't hate them, or anything. But whenever they get they get whipped by Jesus, their hands are caught in the cookie jar a lot. You kind of develop bad feelings. So so anyway, this is going to go on. Hopefully it doesn't get worse. Hopefully, common sense reigns over the world. The deep state has taken a shit on all of us, and hopes that instead of, because whenever a psychopath can't rule the world or you, they try to destroy you or the world. That's what psychopaths do. Um, so we're that's what's going on. So anyway, before we go on, I wanted to tell you guys about this neat thing, and I tried to get the most generic picture. And this product that I'm showcasing isn't even, you can't even buy this in the United States. I just wanted to put it up there so that you guys knew what I was talking about. You might be able to order it or whatever, but I'm not suggesting any brand of methylene blue. But this can clean out your mitochondria. It's good for certain other types of illnesses. And the one thing that it helps with is memory. I am not just for weed, I have brain fog, and that's there regardless. So if you take this, it could be right for you, and it's a supplement. You can take this pretty much all the time. It has some interactions and stuff like that, but I, if you're taking a bunch of drugs, of course, talk to your doctor. But if not, and you would like a supplement that helps you with that, I find that methylene blue works. I have mine right here. So anyway, I thought that this was a better picture than this website. Because apparently, I expected better out of you, Japan. Can you please fly spaceships correctly? There's no wind, and I mean relatively there's the solar wind, but there's no quick change of wind in space. So I don't know what your excuse is, Japan. I had faith in you. So this horrible picture shows Nothing at all. It shows the location where it crashed. Um, this is AI's depiction of the crash, and it's probably accurate. Um, so next time you're landing a spaceship, maybe get somebody to drive that actually knows how. Yeah, the images show a dark smudge. Yeah, that's really going to tell us a lot. NASA, thanks. I'm glad I spent so much tax money on you. So this is horrible small but it brings us attention to the fact that some Japanese people can't even fly a lunar lander. But thank you, Phys.org, for this article. I want to appreciate you, even though it's really short. We might not ever know why it happened. We just know that it ended up like this. They crashed. They didn't. It wasn't a soft landing with a parachute or anything. It just smacked the surface of the moon, like you would smack into the barrier on the freeway. But there's no other cars. There was nothing that kept this spaceship besides the operators from it doing this. There's no excuse. Like I said, I expected better out of you, Japan. So we're just going to move on. Yeah, that happened in news. Okay, so like they want to sell me their newspaper, and I'm not going to buy it. This is a really great image of the proposed high-speed rail, and this would be really nice. But the thing about it is that it looks like this right now. And this is a picture from 2022, where they're redoing all this infrastructure, the roads, the railways, the highway. They're doing a lot. And I understand that. I understand that this could cost a lot of money. Let's $13 billion. The original price, 33 billion, goes up to 100 billion, and is possibly as high as 135 billion, if you believe the latest estimates. But I can tell you that those estimates are probably correct, because it does look like elephant amounts of BS. You want to talk about pork barrel spending. Well, the topic of conversation should move from Congress and into the state Senate, the state assembly of California, because they spend a lot of money. Now we'll get into more of that later in this show. So Yeah, it's supposed to connect Los Angeles to San Francisco. Wouldn't that be very nice? Because right now, the price of a plane ticket to go to Los Angeles, and the reason why I didn't go to enjoy the riots, is because it cost as much to fly to Florida as it does to go from San Francisco to LA. And everybody knows I'm a cheap bastard and I'm not going to do that. So, but the route has shortened, so it's not going to go from San Francisco, which is all right. I mean, it's all right, but now you might not even get a bus that takes you all the way down there. You might have to drive to the, and that totally defeats the purpose of a high-speed rail. That you might have to drive somewhere that you also have to drive to go to your destination from. That just makes no sense. Taxi companies will love it, but it will not be very conducive for travel. It will just be elephant duty. Yeah, Madeira to Schaefer. Okay. So they talk about jobs and stuff like that, but with the deportation of illegal immigrants, which are the backbone of California's state infrastructure, because they won't hire American citizens, they're gone. They're not willing to replace them with citizens. So this is more their fault than they know. I mean, just wow. Like why are we doing something like this? What's we should just do it. Why don't we? I mean, can't we just finish what we start? That would be nice. These things would be nice. But it's just one of those things. Anyway, some more stupid that's going on in California is the deep state law. I mean, the deep fake law. So, the Babylon Bee is righteously suing California and Newsom for its new deep fake law, which makes funny little videos that alter, what politicians say with the truth. I'm sorry, with some other message that they want to give. They don't like this. But it's parody. It's art. It's no, but when I've just got a question: is when did these people try to pass these off as real and not what they were? The only people that I know that make these alterations in order to promote a narrative, they're called the government, and they do this often. They alter NASA photographs. They do this, but anyway, let me not get regressed into that topic, because there's plenty of this to go around. That's my question. Are you sure you want to do this, Newsom? This is a constitutional amendment. This is the First Amendment. I mean, you really want to do this. You really want to challenge the First Amendment. Um, and I do. I think that whenever you promote something that isn't true about someone else, um, in saying it that it is true, then by all means go after them. That's there's a number of laws already, but this stupid thing, where people are voicing their opinion with changes made to like what you do and making videos with AI that are funny in parody of you. That's like me making a joke about Newsom's cocaine and beer, um, because he actually went to rehab while he was, what was it, mayor or president of the board of supervisors in San Francisco, while I was selling weed there in Golden Gate Park. Um, but if you really want to do that, you go right ahead. You just do that. Uh huh. The consequences happen. Um, the con- there are always consequences to your actions. Um, so go ahead, do that. You see that burner over there, that electric burner on the stove. Turn it all the way up. Get that thing red hot. Go over there and press your hand into it and see what happens. Kids, don't do that at home. I'm really just joking, but like, that's analogous to, um, what Newsom is doing right now. Um, I haven't seen a politician come out of California that I ever really liked. I have had problems with all of them, especially drunk Nancy Pelosi. And if you're wondering, I am not intoxicated right now. This is why I don't drive, because I have a neurological condition and I could be a danger with a vehicle. So I don't. It would be just like giving a man who is drunk the keys to a car. You don't want to do that. But you know, there's a cute little mountain lion. Um, and mountain lions are great animals, and they should be respected and not feared, because right now things like our deer, they're they're overpopulated, and that's bad for them, because this animal can eat a deer every 5 days within 100 miles. They are so, pumas, mountain lions, they're so great at that. Whenever the deer population gets overpopulated, whenever it gets really high, like it is right now, because nobody is eating them, aside from this character right here. Um, you know, there's a problem, because disease spreads through them, and those diseases, uh, since they are mammals, they could hop to us, which would be bad, and that makes them unhealthy. And deer are part of the environment, and we should take care of them. So everybody, this hunting season, go out and bag all of them that you can, and do not shoot any more mountain lions. You don't have to. They're very intelligent. Um, if you've got one, always defend yourself. But if you can at all avoid it, you know, um, don't, because these cats are very important to the environment, you know. Um, but the reason why I bring that up is because a California summer camp staff was attacked by a mountain lion. And it was probably for a dumb reason. You know, you should not scream or run from a mountain lion. This makes their instincts kick in. And one thing that you do not want is a mountain lion to attack you. You know, I always sit down whenever I'm in the presence of a wild mountain lion or bear, at least. And if there's any further aggression, I lay on my back. And that's not because I'm a wuss, because you can't fight a bear and you can't fight a mountain lion. But the thing about animals that's not true about humans is that animals are not malicious. Take that to heart. I'm still in one piece, and I've had plenty of angry, territorial animals whenever I was in Northern California. I was on the California Conservation Corps, not unlike, well, it was kind of unlike a summer camp counselor, because I didn't have to deal with a bunch of children, and I was on the side of the river where salmon were. And bears, that's their hunting grounds. So you kind of get the picture. Because bears, you know, are very large. They can run like 30 miles an hour, which is much faster than you. You won't be able to run away from them, and you won't be able to overpower them. And God forbid you try to pew pew them, because your little pebbles that you pew pew out of your pew pew, you know, they will just bounce off. You know, they have they're big. You don't know where their vital organs are. You won't be able to do this. So, you know, it is just best that you don't display yourself as a threat. And that means screaming. Don't do this. I know personally mountain lions do not like this. They will immediately attack anything that screams. You should probably shouldn't do that. You know, or run, because any wild animal will chase you. That's just that's how their brain is wired to work. You know. Yeah. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't try not to euthanize the mountain lions. You know, they're they were a endangered species. Don't do that. They are still pretty low in population. Like I said, they have 100 grounds of 100 miles. They are not pack animals, so they only come together to breed. So do not, if at all possible, do not shoot one. They are very limited, and we need them. And you might find that they'll leave you alone too. But you know, yeah, and definitely, if you're out in the wilderness, don't bring your animal. Don't bring your household dog or cat. Don't do that, because that's their prey. That you are taking lunch to them. Don't do it. You know, um, yeah, don't do that. Um, so, but always don't um, don't immediately like bend over or lay first on the ground. Sit down in the presence of a bear or a mountain lion or another large mountain lion, except for a pig. But we're not talking about pigs. Don't do that. You might be able to fight off a pig. Just saying, you know. Um, but yeah, this is um, except for this, the rest of this is BS. Don't do that. Except for um, put small children on your shoulders. That might win you, something because the again a child is small. They are smaller than the mountain lion. They are smaller than a bear. You're going to want to do that. But um, like it says, this mountain lions pose little threat to human beings. You are not their prey. You might be competition to them, um, which they will let you know. But don't expect them to attack you. On several occasions, while I was hunting and not my mountain lion, not Kitty, um, the I come across a mountain lion who was upset with me because I was hunting in its area, and I sat down and I just stared at the mountain lion, which you probably shouldn't do that either. But the point is that I used my body language to communicate that I was not a threat to it, which saved me a bullet. Which bullets are cheap, but it saved the mountain lion's life because it did not pounce on me. You want to make the only way animals have to communicate is by body language. So learn to communicate effectively with body language. Because that's the only, you'll learn that in animal husbandry if you ever do that in your life, which I'm very fortunate. I grew up on a farm and we raised pigs, chickens, horses, and of course, other animals. Come across other animals like mountain lions. Um, but don't do any of this. Make loud noises and try to look bigger. Don't do that. Don't do that. Um, you want to make, if you're with a bear, you want to make yourself look smaller. You want to show the bear that you're not a threat. But turning around and running while screaming is the wrong decision. Don't do that. It will provoke them. If anything, hide from a bear. Seriously, seriously, that will let them know that out of sight, out of mind. Do that. But with a mountain lion, just sort of start backing up slowly if you can, and if they start, they probably won't charge you unless you start to run. So just back out. You know, that's enough body language to tell the mountain lion that you are not a threat. You know, because it is probably only upset because you are a human, you are a predator. You know, so we can only guess at what this person who was the camp counselor did, um, which, you know, we won't discount bravery because they do handle children in a summer camp. You know, they might think that, you know, that it might be best for them to try to attack the mountain lion. Um, but but don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Um, you know, um, just um, just try to move away from the area. You know, like with the bear, go behind a tree. There's plenty of big trees in Northern California. If you can't find one, that's your problem. Okay, um, and they will go away. They will give you the consideration that you show them. Unlike human beings, so cute, cuddly, very sensitive. Okay, that's what a mountain lion is. Okay, um, they will not hesitate. They are made to be predators, but they don't consider human beings. They're like sharks. They might take a bite out of you, but the thing is about a mountain lion is like they won't stop. You will be gone, and they will be like, you know, you don't taste good. Um, and that's like if you can hope. Um, but like don't do it. Don't do it. The mountain lion will stay and argue with you, but all it's really trying to say is you get out of its hunting ground. You know that's what that's what mountain lions are trying to tell you. Seriously, you know, no offense, but you are a predator. You know, I don't care if you're vegan or not. They won't discern. They will eat you just as the same as if you brought steak. You know, they are not. They don't make those considerations. Um, so that's what I got. You know, um, let's see. So let's yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I don't live in California. I live in the Republic of Ganjistan, where money just grows on trees, as you can see here. Um, you know, hopefully more than two people, myself and Connor, were watching this. Um, I didn't see any comments from Connor. Um, but that doesn't mean this was a total loss. I'm going to like my video because I like my video. Um, so anyway, if you're out next weekend, because this weekend is over, um, you know, try not to burn anything down. I would greatly appreciate that. Y'all have a good day. Um, yeah. Have a good